But I really like the EPS Carry so far. It does not feel small at all. It feels like a good full-size dot. I don't notice any parallax or any discoloration.
All right, welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be doing a video on this optic right here, which, as you can see right here, is a Holosun EPS Carry. Now, I've been using the EPS series for a little while now, mainly on my Glock 19, as you can see right here. This is my Glock 19. This is my everyday carry gun, and I use it quite often. This is pretty much the gun that I carry 99% of the time. The only time I carry a 43, which this is actually a new acquisition, I have been carrying my wife's 43, Glock 43, whenever I go places I really don't want to be seen printing. So most of the time I don't care if I print a little bit. It really doesn't matter, and I carry this gun all the time because I don't care about printing anymore. Whenever you first get into concealed carry, it's a huge deal to you, but as you get older and as you start carrying more often, you're going to realize it really doesn't matter. No one's looking, especially if you're a mid-mix carry, no one's looking there. And those that are probably also carrying, so who cares? But I wanted to get a smaller gun that had the option of a light and a red dot sight, which I could have gotten a 43 milled or gotten a new slide, sure, fine, whatever, but I couldn't mount a light on there unless I got the TLR, what is it, the 6 by Streamlight. And it only had, even the new model only had like 300 lumens, which to me is not adequate. Versus this light on here, this is also a Streamlight that also was sent to me by them. I do have a separate review on that if you're interested. This is a fantastic light. For the size, it's basically a TLR 1 HL, more or less, that's small enough to fit on a subcompact gun like this, or a slimline gun. But the EPS Carry was sent to me by Holosun as well, so full disclosure there, they sent it to me for free. I didn't pay for it. The regular EPS on this one, on my 19, I did pay for. So, you know, I kind of have an example of one. I bought one that was sent to me in case there's any kind of differences between the two, you know, handpick, QC issues, whatever. So let's get into the optics. Again, most of my experience is on this one, and this is a fantastic optic. Up until this point, this has actually been my favorite red dot on a pistol that I've used to date because it's fully enclosed and it doesn't take up any more space than a standard size red dot does. For comparison, here is a O-light. This is the O-sight, and you can see just how much smaller this is. It's enclosed and it's literally the same size. So that to me is absolutely insane. Actually, it's significantly smaller. Now the O-sight, to be fair, is a lot taller. So, you know, there's that bigger window. Let's use another example over here. Here's a Gotar that I've been using for a little while. Yeah, it's still alive. Let's see if I can put this over the top of it, right where you can see. So it just barely sticks out. And really, practically speaking, it's smaller than this one is. It's lower sitting to the ground, and it takes up less space as this one. One nice thing about this as well, in case for those of you who are wondering, you can co-witness if you have night sights. Like these are True Glow night sights. I actually used some black paint and blacked out the night sight part on it because I was too cheap to buy new sights, and I don't want tritium sights on my with my red dot because it's just distracting. So I ended up just getting some black paint and covering up, and it works fine because my rear sights just need to be blacked out. I don't know if it'll actually focus on that or not. Let's see if it will. Yeah, so you can just barely co-witness those sights just enough to use them, which I think is great. You don't need suppressor height sights with this. Now this is also with a C&H Precision plate. So let's talk about the EPS Carry. So this is, as you can tell, designed for smaller guns like the, say SIG P365 or Glock 43X or the 48, for, you know, guns that have a very slim, as you can tell the difference, very slim slide. Now, one thing I noticed about this is the regular EPS is just slightly larger than the slide on the Glock 19. As you can see, it kind of hangs over the edges there. And this one is also slightly large, just barely hangs over the edges on there. If you're looking for something that fits flush, this optic, the EPS Carry, would actually fit perfectly. If you can see it on here, it's almost the exact same width of the Glock 19 slide. So if someone makes an adapter plate for for the EPS Carry that will fit on the MOS like the standard size, then I think that would probably honestly be the best optic for that gun, because I don't really mind the smaller window. This does have a smaller window than this one, as you can tell right here. But honestly, for me, smaller windows are actually easier to find the dot in because there's less wiggle room for the dot to get lost. I actually prefer a slightly smaller window because both of my eyes are open anyway, so I don't have to worry about, you know, the whole losing your target because the optic occludes your target. I can see it just fine. Let's get into the specs of this. Here is the serial number for those of you who care. This is the single red dot version. I don't like green dots. They're just not my favorite. These do not have, or this one specifically does not have the solar panel on top, and there's your buttons on the side. I have not accidentally hit them. They are, you can hear them, they're tactile, they're audible, but they don't kind of, I wish there was a little bit of a ridge to kind of protect them just a little bit, but that's not a big deal. I've never accidentally hit it. The battery tray is on the outside, which means you don't have to take the optic off in order to change the battery, which is awesome. The click adjustments are perfectly audible and tactile. I'm not going to change them because it's 0 for that. I did also witness mark my screws, and they have not moved under recoil, and I also, you know, just kind of slammed this against the a wood table using the optic like that, fairly rough like I do with all my optics, to see if it lost 0. It did not lose 0. It kept 0 like a champ.
All right, Holosun EPS. The trigger on that Glock 43X is horrendous. I'm only at about 12, maybe 15 yards at the most, and this is the kind of accuracy I'm getting. With any other Glock that I have, I would be basically stacking rounds on top of each other. This is all me sighting it in, but this is what I'm getting. It's basically sighted in at this point. These were jerks of the trigger. I know they were. There's 1, 2, 3 right there. So I'm going to rack the slide using the Holosun EPS Carry, racking against the table, and then shoot it again, see if it holds 0. All right, let's give it 10 good racks. So here we go. All right, let's see how it does. Now, all of these were good trigger pulls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. Maybe that was the 5th one, so maybe I had one bad trigger pull, but all of these were fantastic trigger pulls. I knew they were whenever I fired them. So again, I'm still getting used to the gun, but man, is it hard to be accurate with that thing. I was able to stabilize a little bit better that time and got consistent accuracy. So it held 0 after the test. Again, these were me.
Now, one thing I will say that's a complaint, well, let me get to that in a second. So one thing that I do like about this optic is it includes the adapter plate, and I really wouldn't call it an adapter plate. I'll include pictures of what it looks like, but it's basically just a spacer plate. It adds a little bit of space between the slide and the optic that gives it a couple posts to hang on to, and then the plate at the bottom holds on to the MOS plate. And then one screw just goes through the optic, through the plate, into the slide. So there's no extra set of screws like there would be with this, the standard EPS. So on the standard EPS, if I remember correctly, again, I could be wrong, but no, I'm not, because the plate down here uses it. There are a base plate that is screwed into the slide, and then this is screwed into the base plate. So there's 4 screws holding this one on, versus this one just has 2 screws. So there's less to go wrong, less to shear off, all that kind of stuff. So again, this is more or less just a spacer that has a couple recoil lugs, more or less, you know, built into it. So I thought that was a really good design. I'm shocked that they were able to get an enclosed emitter to be this small, because again, this thing, let me just show you compared to the O-Light. It's just absolutely massive compared to this thing. I can't even, that's not even a good comparison. Let me see if I can line this up on camera. It's huge. So, and I will say the O-Light, the base of it is actually pretty small. It's just a very tall optic. So on this, the base, or the body at the bottom, is actually short enough where you can just barely use those sights, the backup sights. Let me do it off camera real quick. Yeah, you can just barely see them. Enough to where I don't really feel like I'm going to replace them. What I might do is drift this rear sight and reverse it to where that black side is actually on the back, so I don't have to see. I hate Glock U-notch sights, are obnoxious. At some point, I might put some just black sights on here, but at the moment, I don't really need to. The iron sights are out of the way on a standard Glock. Again, if you have different iron sights or a different gun, this may not, you know, be the same. It may be different, but I like the fact that I can technically use my iron sights through this thing out of the box. That's a nice touch. All right, so let's go over the features. There are some features here on the box. The box comes with standard Holosun features, with everything you'd expect. It comes with extra set of screws for different plates. It comes with a little cleaning cloth. It comes with, you know, a little tool that you can adjust the windage and elevation and the battery tray and all that kind of stuff. One thing I will say though, the screws, I'll show you pictures of this. The screws for this Glock slide, now I don't know if this is just for the Glock slide or if some all guns may have this issue. I have no idea. But the screws themselves that work with this 43X slide, one of them is too long. So both screws come at whatever certain length they are, and I actually had to grind this one down, this right hand one, because if you're familiar with Glocks, the extractor rod right in here, the extractor plunger, whatever you want to call it, this metal piece right here extends through the slide, and then there is a spring on the back end that, you know, has a little I forgot what it's called, a little piece of plastic that interacts with this back plate, and that just pushes on the extractor. So let me actually just lock this open so you can kind of see, so there's nothing in the way. So this, as you can see, the extractor should be able to move freely because, again, there's a spring back here pushing on this, which is holding everything in place. Whenever your screws are too long on here, that screw hole goes directly into this channel that holds this in place. So what happens if you tighten that all the way down is that screw is pressing on this metal rod, which prevents it from moving, which means you don't get this, the extractor will not have any give to it whatsoever, which is going to cause malfunctions. So that's an issue. I've had this problem with other Holosuns. So Holosun, if you're listening, make one of the screws shorter or include a second set of screws or just one screw that's the correct length for this little channel right here for that screw hole, because I had to Dremel down, well, actually I use a grinding wheel, but I had to use a grinding wheel to grind down this screw over here just a little bit shorter. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to obviously matter. So now it's not interfering with this at all, and there has not been any reliability issues with that. But if you just use these out of the box and tighten them all the way down, well, one, you won't be able to because this one won't go all the way down. But if you did, your extractor is not going to work. So just know that going out of the box that you're gonna have to either get a file or a Dremel or a grinding wheel or something and grind the screw down just a little bit. Again, I'll insert pictures here what that looks like. So is that a negative? Yes. But is that a big deal? No. It took all of 5 minutes to fix that issue. All right, so here are the features. So this one has a red reticle, and it's a 2 MOA dot, which I prefer. I don't like big rings and all that kind of stuff unless the circle on the ring is like 50 MOA or so, or larger. The 32 MOA circles on the Holosuns I do not like at all. They are too small and they just obstruct your target where you can't really see. So like for fast shooting where you're not really needing to be super accurate, it's fine and it may actually be better. But if you're trying to take a precise shot, it just covers up your target and it's super annoying. So I don't like their 32 MOA circles. So the fact that it's just a 2 MOA dot is fantastic. That's what I like.
Rushing.
It does have manual modes and it has a lockout mode. If you choose to use it, it uses a 1620 battery, has battery tray on the outside, which is great. Up to 50,000 hours of battery life on setting 6. So again, battery life to me is irrelevant. Since the tray is on the outside, I really don't care. 12 brightness settings. I did not try the night vision modes. I'm sure they work fine. They work on my other Holosuns just fine. So again, didn't test it, but this is not a gun I'm going to be using with night vision. So, that's kind of whatever. Now, if you put it on a Glock 19 and you find an adapter plate that'll work with it, I mean, I'm sure someone makes one out there, then maybe it's more relevant to you. But for me, it's really not. You have, what they claim for all the different things for the lens glass and all that kind of stuff, which is great. Yes, it's made out of a 7075 aluminum housing, which is great. That's a very durable material. It does have a memory function. So if you turn it off and turn it back on, it's the same. And it does have a motion sensor. So whenever it moves, it wakes itself back up more or less. It does use the RMSC plate adapter, which is included. And it's, again, more of a spacer, which is nice. And that's the standard cut that comes on your 43X. It is waterproof and parallax free, which based on my testing, yes, it does look parallax free. Just looking through there is not, I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. Let's see if I can make it focus on my hand. It's not gonna, there it goes. There's not really any distortion that I can see. So these optics are a little bit more expensive. If I remember correctly, they're around $325, $350, something like that. Now that said, you don't have to buy an adapter plate. So that's nice. With this one, the plate that comes with it works perfect with this pistol. So the fact that you don't have to spend $100 on an adapter plate like I did on this one kind of makes it honestly justify the price, because at that point you're now getting close to Amazon optics, which is which I'm not a huge fan of Amazon optics, but you know, whenever you can get one of these for essentially the same price as that, that's a good deal. And in case you want to see a side-by-side comparison of how large the EPS carry is versus the EPS, there you go. The EPS, honestly, kind of feels a little wide for my liking, but I don't mind it. For me, if a optic is going to have a larger window, I prefer it to have a taller window versus a wider window, just because whenever you're shooting, recoil makes your gun go up, not side to side, unless you have a horrendous grip, in which case that's a you problem, not an optic problem. But it's very controllable. Like as I was shooting, I was able to see that dot as I pulled the trigger. I was able to keep that dot in the window. It never jumped up high enough. Again, part of this is recoil control, but it never jumped out of the window, and even though this is a small size window. So that says something in of itself. So this one's a little wide. I wish they actually made this one a little bit narrower, just so it would fit flush with the Glock 19. But this one is more or less an actual square versus rectangle that this one is. So from a durability standpoint, I don't think there's really all that much of a difference. One's just smaller than the other. You might get a little bit of a durability upgrade, you know, with this one, because it looks like the metal is just a little bit thicker on the corners versus this one. But again, I've been carrying this for a while now. I'm not going to, you know, drop a brick on this thing or, you know, run it over with a car or whatever. But for a carry optic, I would 100% recommend this, because I've never had an issue out of a Holosun product. They are, in my opinion, the best bang for your buck when it comes to optics, hands down. So one of the things I hate about open emitter sights is this lens is going to get covered in lint, and that lens is in here is going to get covered in lint. So you got to clean two different lenses, and that one's a booger to clean. Usually a Q-tip works the best, but that's annoying. But if you have one that doesn't have a piece of glass right there, it's actually open, and then the emitter's farther down inside there, like, good luck cleaning that thing. It's just not going to get clean. Versus something like this, the emitter itself, lens, is always going to be fine. And then if anything gets on the back of here, you just wipe it off, you're done, and it's clean. So that is the reason why I recommend closed emitter optics. One of the things too, if you've ever shot in the rain with something like this, for instance, rain droplets are going to get in here and get on that emitter and then cause starbursting, and you're going to see like 12 reticles inside there, which basically makes your gun inoperable. Which, you know, you can blow it out and it's not a big deal, but if you happen to be shooting in the rain for whatever reason, like, that's an issue. Same thing with the lens. If you get water on the lens, generally it's not an issue, but it can cause your reticle to turn into a whole bunch of different reticles. So that's not good. Versus with something like this, if you get a little bit of rain on there, it's not going to cause nearly as much of an issue, because the red dot is actually, you know, on this one bouncing off in the back. So I like the fact that it's a closed emitter. I will no longer buy a open emitter optic for a carry gun if I have the choice. Like, if I can have this one or that one, that's what I'm going to go with. I'm not going to buy something that's open emitter like this for a carry gun, simply because stuff can get on the emitter and prevent you from seeing your dot. So I hope you appreciate this video. I, again, love this optic. If you have any questions, put them down below. I will try to answer everyone's questions I can possibly get to. Sometimes YouTube is weird and doesn't give me notifications for comments, so if I don't respond to you within a day or two, just add another comment to it, or, you know, to the video, and I'll probably see that one. So, but anyways, hopefully you appreciate this video, and I hope you all have a good one. All right, I haven't sighted this in, but let's shoot just a little bit. See if I'm anywhere near on. Saw that jerk. Okay, it is not on. I need to adjust it.